On March 23, 1991, a small but heavily armed group of rebels, calling themselves the Revolutionary United Front (RUF), crossed the border from Liberia into Sierra Leone. Their goal: to overthrow the Sierra Leonean government, which they claimed was corrupt, elitist, and neglectful of ordinary citizens. They entered through Bomaru, a quiet town near the Liberia-Sierra Leone border. From there, they launched a surprise attack on nearby villages in the Kailahun district, killing, looting, and spreading fear. This attack eventually developed into one of the deadliest civil wars in modern African history. From 1991 to 2002, more than 50,000 lives were lost, thousands of people mutilated, properties destroyed, and over 2.5 million people displaced, and children turned into child soldiers. The big question is, who were these rebels? What did they really want? Did they ever get what they wanted, and what were the effects of their activities? Sit tight for this one. In this video, we shall break down the Sierra Leone Civil War like never before, and we shall be telling you in great detail how this war ruined Sierra Leone. To better understand how Sierra Leone got to this point, it will be important for us to take a few steps back to trace the origin of the Civil War. Sierra Leone became a British colony in 1808 after Freetown was established as a settlement for freed African slaves from Britain, the Americas, and the Caribbean. The British declared the surrounding areas a protectorate in 1896, creating a dual administration: the colony, Freetown and its surroundings, and the protectorate, the rest of the interior. This system caused divisions and resentment. By the 1930s and 1940s, educated elites in Freetown, mainly descendants of freed slaves, began demanding political reform. In the 1950s, nationalist sentiments spread across both the colony and the protectorate. Movements calling for self-rule gained momentum, particularly with the emergence of political parties. The most prominent independence leader at the time was Sir Milton Margai, who led the Sierra Leone People's Party, SLPP, a political party he founded in 1951. The SLPP became a platform for uniting different ethnic groups under a shared goal: self-governance. Margai built alliances with traditional chiefs and educated elites, ensuring widespread support. Margai played a key role in negotiating with British colonial authorities for greater African participation in governance. He advocated for the 1951 Constitution, which allowed Africans to be elected to the Legislative Council. Further reforms in 1953, leading to the post of Chief Minister, which he assumed. The 1957 elections, which his SLPP won decisively, strengthening his mandate for independence talks. He worked to unite the colony and the protectorate, presenting a more inclusive vision of a united Sierra Leone. His moderate and diplomatic style gained the support of both the people and the British authorities. Margai used a non-violent, diplomatic approach to push for independence. He was respected by the British for his calm demeanor, rational leadership, and ability to maintain political stability. His strategy contrasted with the more radical approaches in other African nations, making Britain more willing to grant self-rule. Under Margai's leadership, Sierra Leone achieved internal self-government in 1958. He became the country's first prime minister when Sierra Leone gained full independence from Britain on April 27, 1961. He led the nation in a peaceful transition and was later knighted by Queen Elizabeth II for his service. Margai's greatest contribution was his ability to unite the colony and the protectorate into one nation. He promoted inclusivity, education, and good governance, laying the foundation for an independent Sierra Leone. His peaceful, constitutional struggle is remembered as a model of African diplomacy and leadership. However, his leadership was cut short when he died suddenly on April 28, 1964, just 3 years after independence. After Milton Margai's death, he was succeeded by his younger brother, Sir Albert Margai, who was then the Minister of Finance and a prominent member of the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party. The succession was not through a public election but was approved by the SLPP party and Governor-General Sir Henry Lightfoot Boston, the Queen's representative at the time. This made Albert Margai the new Prime Minister of Sierra Leone in 1964, maintaining the SLPP's control of the government, and this is where things started going south. Unlike his brother Milton Margai, Albert Margai's leadership was more controversial. He attempted to centralize power, proposed making Sierra Leone a one-party state, and was accused of promoting ethnic favoritism, especially toward his Mende ethnic group. These actions led to increased political tension and unrest. From 1960 to 1967, political tension and unrest continued as new opposition against Sir Albert Margai rule started emerging. And at the center of these opposition was Siaka Stevens. Stevens entered politics in the 1950s as a member of the Sierra Leone People's Party, SLPP. However, he soon fell out with the party's leadership over key decisions, including the formation of the Mano River Union and the perceived dominance of southern elites in the party. As a result, he broke away and helped found the People's National Party, PNP, and later the All People's Congress, APC, in 1960, which became his main political platform. Stephen positioned the APC as the main opposition to the ruling SLPP government under Sir Albert Margai. He criticized Margai's attempts to establish a one-party state, his ethnic favoritism toward the Mende people, and his heavy-handed governance. Stevens gained popularity, especially in the northern regions, among the Temne and Limba ethnic groups, and among urban workers. In March 1967, a general elections was held, and the APC, led by Siaka Stevens, won a narrow majority in parliament, defeating Albert Margai's SLPP. Despite fears of a rigged process or refusal to concede, the SLPP stepped aside, and Siaka Stevens was officially sworn in as Prime Minister on March 21, 1967. Only hours after taking office, Stevens was overthrown in a military coup led by Brigadier David Lansana, the head of the army and a Margai loyalist. Lansana claimed the results were invalid because the country's regional chiefs had not yet ratified the parliamentary election results, a process he claimed was constitutionally required. This began a 13-month period of political instability involving multiple coups and counter-coups. Immediately after the coup, Stevens was arrested and military rule was declared. Brigadier Lansana suspended the constitution and took control of the government. This marked the first military intervention in Sierra Leone's politics. Lansana's coup did not last long. He was overthrown within days by a group of junior officers led by Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Juxon Smith, who formed the National Reformation Council, NRC. The NRC suspended political parties and promised to cleanse the government of corruption and tribalism. But the NRC also failed to gain public trust and struggled with economic mismanagement. Discontent grew within the military and among civilians. On April 26, 1968, after more than a year of military rule, Siaka Stevens was reinstated as Prime Minister of Sierra Leone. This followed a successful counter-coup by enlisted soldiers known as the Anti-Corruption Revolutionary Movement, ACRM, who overthrew the National Reformation Council, NRC, military government led by Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Juxon Smith. The soldiers returned the country to civilian rule, and Stevens, who had been previously ousted just hours after his 1967 swearing-in, resumed power legally and officially. Having experienced a military coup firsthand, Stevens deeply distrusted the armed forces. Upon his return, he purged the military, dismissing or reassigning officers suspected of disloyalty. He created personal security forces such as the Internal Security Unit, ISU, and later the Special Security Division, SSD, paramilitary groups that reported directly to him rather than the Army Command. He weakened the Army's power, underfunding it and sidelining it in national affairs.